The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine.
Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Ask the Treksperts. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be reviewing the Menagerie, which is TOS's only two-part episode.
Yes, and in fact, it was a two-part episode where they took the first pilot, The Cage, and wrapped another episode around it. So it actually has its own plot. It's not just a clip show, which is awesome. And
yeah, that's the coolest thing about it.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's not like Shades of Grey, that second season Next Gen episode.
Yeah, which actually is a clip show. And the thing is, it's hard to look at the Menagerie as a clip show just because when it was first on,
no one
the people watching didn't even know what The Cage was, I'm sure.
Exactly, and I'm really glad that they released it so that people could see it, because I personally love The Cage. And I almost wish that we could have seen what a series of that would have looked like.
Yeah,
a more serious, less colorful Star Trek.
I was glad that this episode was requested. Mr. KB, actually 47, asked us to do this episode, and sorry, because every time I say his name wrong, I think that his name is Burger King, and I just think it gets
probably
bad.
Not what he was going
probably
for.
Not.
Sorry.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, but the Menagerie is such an interesting and unusual episode, because it's made to save money, and then it ends up being really good.
Yeah,
and that's impressive.
When does that happen? But what really makes it is the good story. I mean, if you don't have a good story, you don't have a good episode.
So what they did was they tried to get a two-part episode out of a regular episode budget. And so basically the idea was that half of the footage of the episode would be the pilot footage of The Cage, which they just had laying around and they weren't able to use because the network wouldn't put the pilot on air when they first had it, and they made Roddenberry change some things, and that's how we got Where No Man Has Gone Before. Anyway, so then the other half is a regular budget, episode thing.
Well, and even that, I mean, it only takes place really in a couple rooms. Most of it takes place in this one room where they have the court scene.
That's right. In fact, I don't think there's ever really there's really any even regular bridge footage.
I don't think. Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, there is. Spock goes up around the bridge, and that's when he says.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember that. Okay.
It's early on.
Yeah. But anyway, I just forgot. But yes. So then but I mean, all you really get is like a matte painting and the courtroom scene, and that's it. And then the rest of it is the Cage footage. But what's cool about it is, okay, so the Cage is about Pike and the Enterprise going to this planet called Talos 4, where there's this species called the Telosians, and they try to put Pike in their menagerie, in their big zoo of creatures
from around their area.
Or
the region of space.
Because as far as I can tell, the Telosians don't seem to go places.
No, they just lure passing spaceships to them, I think, is the idea.
And they are telepathic, and they can make you see anything that you want to. And what's awesome is, that's the Cage. The Menagerie is not about that.
Right. It's about, here's Pike, he's had an accident, he's confined to that cool beeping chair, and Spock knows that the only way that he can live a semi-decent life, because he can't move at all, but his mind is still active, and so the only way he can live a semi-decent life is to go to Talos 4, to have his mind filled with these images of whatever he wants. Because
the Telosians can give him any life that he wants.
Exactly.
And it's a good payoff.
It really is.
Because especially if you're watching it the first time, and especially if you're watching it back in '66, and you don't know anything about the Cage, because you wouldn't, you don't know where it's going.
Well, and see, I saw Menagerie far before I saw the Cage.
Before you ever saw the Cage,
yeah.
And you wouldn't know where it was going. You wouldn't necessarily know that this is where. This is why that he needs to go back to the planet.
Right,
and all that.
It's a really good mystery the whole way through, especially when they have that dialogue about no ship has ever made recordings this good when they're looking at the events of the cage.
Yeah, and that was neat. I mean, there's some really cool production stuff in it because, that's right. Because they very could have, and there have been TOS episodes where you get stuff on the view screen where you're like, how is that being shot like that?
The camera's panning and
why is it
on
why is
the
it
other
panning?
ship.
Yeah, or it looks like they've got 3 different cameras, and why are they? Well, I guess they could have 3 different cameras, but the panning thing is
the
especially
view screen
bizarre.
would not decide to show different angles.
But they're nice enough to say, well, there's actually a reason that it looks like television footage.
Yes.
It's the Telosians are sending this up into the computer with their brains.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's what we, the audience, would have been asking if nobody on the bridge or in that room had asked. We would have been like, wait a second. That looks like TV footage. What are they doing?
If you put yourself in the day, and I just always find this to be a neat exercise. You put yourself back in the day and pretend like you're watching it for the first time, and remember that you wouldn't know about the pilot.
Right.
You wouldn't have seen the cage. A small amount of people would have ever seen that.
Yeah.
And you're watching this footage that you don't know is just old footage they had sitting around. So you're probably thinking, well, wow, this is amazing. They tried to think about it and extrapolate what Starfleet would have looked like 15, 20 years earlier. Yeah. And they've got different uniforms. They've got, the ship looks different. The bridge looks different. They've got an entirely different crew.
You know, I never thought about it that way, but you're so right. I mean, I could see how that would be, what the ships would look like and the crew and the uniforms 15, 20 years in the past when it would have happened. And that makes the episode that much cooler, I think.
It looks like they spent money hiring a bunch of new actors, and so you're, except for Angel Barrett, because they just, Nurse Chapel was like, I want something better to do this week. No, I'm kidding. And so it doesn't look like a cheap episode. It looks, because overall it's not.
No.
But if you're back in the day watching this thing, you're thinking, wow, they really stepped it up this week.
Yeah.
These 2
and they were
weeks.
actually saving money.
Yeah. So it's quite brilliant.
Yeah.
Let's see, actors, the Commodore's good.
Yeah, the Commodore's good. Pike's good. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he's brilliant at sitting there and pushing those buttons.
Yeah.
And you don't know if that's him pushing the buttons.
Yeah, it could be someone off screen.
But it's both a good Kirk and Spock story, and it's really impressive once again that you could get, and it helps that it's 2 parts, that you can get this story that's very, I'd say it's somewhat Kirk and Spock centered. Yeah. I mean, Kirk definitely has things to do, and it doesn't manage to just be about this guest star character who nobody would have cared about previously. And there are some TOS episodes that have that problem. Yeah. And so, anyway, as far as courtroom drama goes, is it the best of the courtroom genres? I'm sorry, the best of the courtroom episodes, or
in TOS, yes. I personally think it's better than Court Martial.
Yeah, I like Court Martial a lot, but I'm with you. I think it is.
And Court Martial is better than Wolf in the Fold, although Wolf in the Fold's more of a mystery. I mean, it has a court scene, but it's not its main purpose.
What's really cool is once again, they're trying to make a story out of an old story, and the stakes are so high.
Right, it's the death penalty.
And it's the only thing on the books that will get you the death penalty is going to Talos 4. Yeah. And Spock's doing it, and if they say he's treason, I mean that he's committed treason, then he's going to get the death penalty.
And if he's going to Talos 4, and even receiving the recordings from Talos 4, the transmission, that's the death penalty. Yeah. And in fact, at one point, Kirk received that message from the starbase saying, yeah, you're receiving transmissions from Talos 4, which means you've invited the death penalty on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. So it's all of a sudden it's both of them, and Spock didn't intend for that to happen.
So, rating.
Rating. Oh, solid 4 for me. This is one episode that I pull out occasionally and just watch.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't get sick of it.
I've probably seen it 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 4 on it as well. Would you say that it's a good episode for a new Trekkie to start with if they're cool with TOS?
I
don't think it's a bad place to go to start. Yeah.
I think it's a good it would be a good introduction to Kirk and Spock and their relationship, and it's not too hard to follow, and it's an interesting story. In
fact, I think I would even go as far as to say that if all you've ever seen in Star Trek is the new movie, this is especially a good place to go, because you would have heard of Pike.
That's true. I think that'd be really interesting to go back if you've only ever seen the new movie and see what Pike was.
Yeah. So what do you think? Because that was one of the things I loved about the new movie is that we got to see a more Pike. You know?
Yeah.
Because what would that show have been like if it had just been Pike?
Yeah. I think it would have been a more serious show
Mm-hmm.
because I really don't see the character of Pike being the kind of guy where he'd get stuck with the girl of the week every episode. I mean, maybe he'd have that temptation, but it wouldn't be such a, sleep with everything that walks kind of thing.
No, he certainly seems to be a lot more straight-laced, a lot more by the book, but you also have to keep in mind that we never saw any more of him.
Well, we only saw him that once.
I mean, Jeffrey Hunter got one episode, and he, if he had been going week to week, his character might have developed some. And keep in mind the fact that, Picard was a total stick in the mud for the first 2 seasons.
Thank goodness that changed.
But yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Hunter. In fact, the thing is, just in case you don't know this, the studio wanted Jeffrey Hunter, and that was one of the things that with the Cage they didn't want changed. They loved Jeffrey Hunter. They wanted the captain to stay the same, and his wife talked him out of continuing on Star Trek because she didn't think that it would ever go anywhere, that it would be popular. And I guess she was sort of kind of right. I mean, because they get canceled after 3 seasons and almost after 2.
Yeah, but he would have been a big star the rest of his life.
Yeah, he would have. So
he would have been doing the Priceline commercials.
But see, that's what's interesting about it. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because how much does Kirk make that show?
Yeah.
And so you don't know if Pike would have ever been as popular as Kirk. I find that to be extremely interesting.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to step into a parallel reality, and where there's chocolate cake instead of yellow cake.
And Jeffrey Hunter has a beard.
Yes.
And right.
We'll see how famous he gets.
And last thing I wanted to bring up is the 2 lines in this episode that we both love so very much.
Yeah.
The first one.
The first one is, well, he doesn't mean to be evil.
Yeah, that's just hilarious.
hilarious.
I mean, the show, you can take it pretty seriously even now.
Yeah.
But then occasionally you get a line like that where it's just like,
don't kill him. Don't hurt him.
Remember when we got to see this in the theater?
Oh yeah, the remastered version.
A couple years ago, Fathom Events put out this. They do these shows, these limited release shows. They'll put into 300 theaters across the country, and they did it with Menagerie while they were still making the remasters. And we got to see it. We actually took our Trek Club crew out there. It was so cool. Yeah. And in fact, it was so popular that they extended it for a second night. And but I just remember the crowd cracked up at that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and the other line that the Doctor had, I believe, when he was talking to Number One. It's just as real as this table, and just as impossible to ignore. Yeah, I don't know. I can't ignore that table. I cannot ignore that table. Yeah. Anyway, well, hey, thanks a lot for watching Ask the Treksperts. If you have another episode you'd like us to review, or something general about Star Trek you'd like us to talk about on the show, we haven't talked much about DS9 yet. We haven't done much Enterprise. Well, we probably should get into those. Into some DS9 of that. DS9's fun. Enterprise, that has some good stuff. We can do so. So anyway, if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, leave that in the comments below. And thanks a lot once again for watching. I'm Captain Logan. And I'm Sarah. See you again next time.
The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to